Hello. Right. So, as you can see, I'm using slightly different capturing software today. This is the Magic Mirror. Ooh. I've found that this tends to work better for when I do the screen capture streams. Facial tracking isn't as good as the other program, but we make it work by disabling it and instead tracking the mouse. See? So, today we're going to be looking at a very old, ancient, rusty engine. What you are looking at right now is RPG Maker 2000 free. This is the Steam re-release that I believe came out around 2015 or so. Yeah, that sounds about right. So if you didn't know, this was very old engine. It was very popular at the time because it had been translated from the original Japanese and became a sort of, I don't know how to explain it. It's not quite abandonware because it wasn't really abandoned. It just had never been officially translated into English. So when it came over here illegally, a bunch of communities popped up around it. A lot of people were testing their design chops on this. And back then, it was like 15 years ago or something now. I was one of them. I downloaded this program. I made some RPGs. Never released them, fortunately. They are not a black mark on my record. But, yeah, it was pretty common. I think, if I remember right, what was my first game that I tried to make with this? I think it was a Final Fantasy VI fan game. I think that sounds about right. It was literally just like me downloading rips of like different sprites, putting them all together into a sort of Frankenstein monstrosity. And I was proud of that Frankenstein monstrosity at the time. Um, I don't know what to do about those quite right now. There's going to be pop ups for other people's streams and stuff like that. So, this is RPG Maker 2000 free, as I said. What you're looking at now is a very bare bones map, about as bare bones as it could possibly be. So I place the player's starting position right here. You do that by going right click while this is selected. This is important. This is event mode. So while you're in event mode, you can right click on tiles here. And for example, you can set player starting position like I just did there. And this guy is another event. So let's go ahead and play test what I have here right now. There's our buddy Morshu. How are you doing, Morshu? So as you can see, right out the box, we can walk around. We have a menu here. We're wearing a club and leather armor. We can take stuff off and put it on as we wish. And we have no skills, just like in real life. We have no class. Again, just like real life. See, another benefit of using this capture software is I can do this. And I have some expressions. Now, let's see, what's your deal? Hello, I am role-playing advocate. Okay, now let's fight him. As you can see, if I mouse over myself here, I can go transparent. I'll be doing this as needed, so you guys have a good view of what's going on. Oh no. We seem to be dead. By the way, I am 30 years old. Okay, so you've seen the very basics of what this can do. The most basic basics. I made a starting position. I have a couple of passable tiles here, which I did like this. Woo. And I have an event here. So let's take a quick look at that, because events are kind of the backbone of what makes this engine tick. So if you see here, we have the event editor, and we have 2 pages here. So this is where we set the graphic for the event. We have different things we can set here. We can say movement type. And the trigger is how you activate this event. So for example, this is action button. If you press the action button while you're facing this event, then these things all happen. And the event will face the character that initiated it. You can also trigger things on touch. On touching an event, you can have it auto run, which means this will happen immediately when the map is loaded. We can see that real quick. Yeah, see? That event that we had is running automatically. now we get beat up again. Okay, so as you can see, that's how autorun works. Now, parallel process is an interesting one. What this means is that, if I remember correctly, this can run in parallel to other events that are going on. But you have to be a little careful with that because there are some events that will sort of block processing, like messages and stuff like that. So, we probably won't be using that during our time here today, but it's good to know. So I'll go through the events that I wrote here and quickly tell you what they're doing. So first, I changed the face set here. So this is sort of where you go to change the face graphics that show up on the text box. You can have them displayed in the left or right positions. You can flip the portrait. And you can set it based on the resources you have. So, really quick history lesson on some of the resources that I've collected here and prepared today. So these are from the ref map suite from First Seed Material. This was a pretty famous pack back in the day. Like, it was considered basically a full-on replacement for the RTP, the real-time package, which I'll get into in a bit. But basically, like, this was very commonly used in RPG Maker games. Very common. So after we've set the face graphic, we then provide text for the text message that we want to show up. Here, the role-playing advocate introduces himself. And this tells the program, the game engine, to start a battle. And we are starting a battle against the role-playing advocate. We set the format here. Has support for surprise attacks, back attacks, pincer attacks, preemptive attacks. We can set the encounter here. We can actually set it to, I'll go over this later, but you can set the encounter to a existing variable, which is very interesting. You can do pretty cool stuff with that. So you can set specific battle backgrounds, you can set whether you can escape, and if so, what to do with that. You can set what to do on defeat. So for example, if you have a battle where you want to be able to make it unwinnable, but allow the player to continue playing. Wait a minute. Yeah, okay. I was worried a second. I thought my audio wasn't on. It is. So you can set what to do when you're defeated, and you can set a preemptive attack. So that's how battle processing works. And now you'll notice that we never got to see any of the following things because this encounter is way overpowered. So I'm going to do this more intensely later. But what we can do, go down to the enemy we have, the role-playing Advocat, and let's put these stats down to a more manageable level. So now let's replay and see what happens. So now what happens when I defeat you, huh? Okay, bye. So, he meows, and then he dies. So, how does that happen exactly? Well, after the battle processing, I have a little more text. Displays that text message. Then it plays a sound effect of a cat played at extremely low tempo. So it sounds like this. And then I have it show an animation. I'm using one of the stock animations that is localized over this event. And this has it wait until the animation is complete before doing any further events. And then, this is very important to doing stuff in RPG Maker. I turn a switch on. The single switch, which I have labeled Rest in Pepperoni, is turned on, as you can see here. And if you'll notice the second page here, one of the conditions is that the switch Rest in Pepperoni is on. And this page has no contents, and it has a blank graphic from the first tile in the tile set. What this does, it creates a whole lot of nothing. So when the switch 1, Rest in Pepperoni, is turned on, as it is here, you can see that it swaps to this page from then on. Now if Rest in Pepperoni is turned back off, the event will go back to being on this page. So let's use what we've learned to create another simple event. We will give it a switch graphic. And when we press the action button, actually, let's do this. We set another page. Set that like that. when the switch rest and pepperoni is on, touching this event using the action button, you will turn rest and pepperoni off. And since that's off, it will be on this page. So we want to show text that says doesn't do anything, so that our player understands that the switch is not activated. And for feedback, we want to play a little sound effect. So, for our switch, we're gonna make it sound like a tiger. And now, when we play the game, you'll see it doesn't do anything now, but if we defeat our role-playing advocates, we can press the switch to revive him now. So, that is a very quick example of how switches work. Hey King Kek, welcome to the stream. We are going to be trying to build an RPG in RPG Maker 2003. So that is the basics of how switches work. They're very fundamental to this program. So, let's see. There are a bunch of different places we can start now. This is the database. This is where something like 90% of the game's data can be modified. So, as you can see, you have a bunch of tabs up here for all sorts of different aspects of the game. Right now we are on actors, which is our playable characters. And as you can see, I've set up a few. We have Noemi, and we have the cat Meatcliff. So we can define different classes here. This is where we define our skills. This is where we define items, and so on. The tabs are fairly self-explanatory for the most part. I won't go over all of them right now. We will get to them over the process of creating this game. So, first thing, I want to show where some of the custom stuff I've put in the game is coming from. So this is the System tab. It is where you go to edit a lot of the sort of fundamental aspects of the game. So here, for example, I can say I only want Noemi in the initial party. I can set all the system sound effects here. I can set the system music. So I have the Hotel Mario theme in the title. For battle, I have Funicula, which you may know as the Spider-Man 2 pizza theme. And for the title and game over graphics, I have a couple of crunchy JPEGs I have here that I made into pings. You can set a window graphic here. We're just going to be using the default one here. So that's the system. So the first thing I want to do is go through the process of creating a map. Now, the first thing you need is a tile set. And we are going to make a new one. We're going to call it Good Town, because it's a good town. And we have a bunch of tile sets here. These again are from the Ref Map Suite from First Seed Materials. So let's see. I think that would work. So every tile set has a lower and upper layer. The lower layer is typically ground and wall tiles, while the upper layer is typically stuff overlaid over the ground and wall tiles. So you have, for example, trees and stuff like that. So we're going to say this terrain is fine for now. All that terrain really does is it determines what battle background is used by default, and it also there are terrain effects, like if you walk on lava you can make it hurt you. So in order to actually use this tile set properly, we need to set passability for the different tiles. Now, it won't always be obvious which tiles should be passable and which should not be. Sometimes you need to learn that through trial and error. So we're going to try to figure that out. These look like water tiles. Do not believe they should be passable. That looks like it shouldn't be. We'll say it is. Got roofs here. Looks like some kind of ladder. We'll make these not passable. Hmm. Can't tell for sure what that's supposed to be. We'll make it impassable for now. We will that passable, but that not. Okay. XXXXXXX. It is okay to be wrong about these things because you will be able to go in and fix it no problem. You just click on this until it goes circle again. Mm. Let's see. I want that to be passable. Okay. And of course, you can always make executive decisions for yourself over what you want passable. And one of the things to remember here is that if you do make an upper layer item passable, it does overwrite the passability of a lower layer thing that it's on top of. So you do have to be careful about what you want to make passable. And sometimes you can do cool things with it, but you want to be careful because this is RPG Maker is very stable, but that doesn't mean it can't have bugs. And this is one of the major sources of bugs, making tiles passable that shouldn't be. So, oh right, something else to keep in mind. The star, what that means is that this will appear over your character. You can walk through it, but it will appear on top of you. What this means is that you can do cool perspective tricks. So you can walk, say, right under roofs like this. And I can say I want the player to be able to pass under the chimney, the top of the chimney, but I don't want them to be able to do that for the lower parts of the chimney. So you can see a good cross section of the sorts of things you can do right here. So I want top of this barrel to be impassable because the barrel covers the tile pretty much. But I want this bottom part of the barrel to be passable because it only covers a very small amount of the tile. Likewise here, I want the top of this barrel to be passable and show up on top of my character, but I do not want this part of the barrel, which takes up a lot of the tile, to be passable. So you have to make decisions like that. Sometimes you'll be off. It's okay to be wrong and come back and fix things. You just have to make sure to test everything, that you don't have too many problems. Now here, I want to show something with the benches, but I'll do that later. So for now, we'll leave them as passable tiles. This part of the tree will show up on top of the character. But the trunk will be impassable. Can't make out what that is. Make these impassable. And this is a lamppost. We'll make everything except the base passable, but make sure that it is on top of the player. So, this is passage. This is what you want to use to make sure that the player can move in certain directions but not others. And as an example, let's take this bench here. We don't want the player to be able to move up, to move past where the top of the bench is. So if we do that, the player will not be able to do that. And likewise, we can do the same for these benches. So what we're doing is we're assuming that the top of the bench is impassable, and therefore the player shouldn't be able to move through it. They should have to walk around it. Oh, I kind of see what that is now. It's like a sort of cafe sign. Okay. Right, so counter. Did I ever use this? Yeah, I don't remember what that does. Wait. Yes, I do. This is like, if you want to mark something as a counter, what that does is if you press the action button on a tile next to a tile that is marked as a counter, it will look one tile past it. So like think of a item shop and how the shopkeeper is on the other side of the counter. If you mark something as a counter here, then you won't need to move the event to the counter. Instead, the event will activate when you're across the counter too. So, we have a working tile set. And now what we can do is replace the tile set in this map with the one that we just made. And if we do that, you can see that everything's changed. And not totally for the better. There we go. That's more what we want. Okay. So, we now have our tile set up, and we can start making a map. So, instead of being surrounded by water, let's open things up. Now we're in a very grassy area. Let's try and make a little house. Let's see if I can figure out this tile set. So as you can see up here, we have different tools. We can zoom. We're totally zoomed in now. We can draw with the pen. We can use the rectangle to drag our selection into an area. We have the circle tool, the oval tool, ellipse tool, which will make things into an ellipse. And we have the fill area tool, which will simply fill in the map with what we have. Okay, so I'm going to use this to make a little path. Let's see what this does. Okay. That makes sense. How about this? Not sure what that's supposed to be. Sometimes this happens with tile sets. Pixel art can be very abstract, and we won't always know what things are. That's okay. So, we're starting our house. It's going to go through the top there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Not quite. So we can tell these are supposed to be the walls. Yeah, we can have a little window there. But let's extend this a little bit. Here we go. There we go. That's more like it. So, we have a little house there. It's a little scuffy, but it's okay. Going to add some details here. There's just going to be a couple of boxes around. Okay. Now we can put in some inner details. I want to have a bench along the path. And I want this to be designated as an inn. And we are going to place a couple trees. Okay. Place this next to the bench. Set it a little bit offset like that. In fact, let's give it some symmetry there. We can place some barrels there. Instead of that, I will place the suggestion of a chimney back there. There's a little bit of foliage up there. And okay. So, what I want to do is create a door. Okay. And that should be fine for now. Figure out more later. Okay. So let's see. This should be some sort of wall. Da-da. Ah. Okay. So what's this? Hmm. All right. I don't know exactly what that is, but that's okay. You can add a little river. Hmm. It's gonna be a little janky. And it will go up here. Hmm. Okay, we got a janky little river there. Doing things the river shouldn't do. Hmm. Okay. So I'm going to make a smaller house here. Those nice tiles. A tiny little house, outhouse sized. And we can get that little door too. Okay. Let's give that a path. We can connect there. Oh right. I forgot to give my trees their trunks. Let's do that quick. Oops. Pause notifications. There we go. Okay. Got those trunks. So, I'm actually going to. The blank tiles can be used to erase things, so I'm going to get rid of this tree. Sorry, tree. And want to try to start like that. Hmm. Hmm. How am I gonna do this? All right. Nope. This like that. Yeah, that doesn't work. Um. Hmm. I have never been able to get my heads around roofs, especially in these custom tile sets. So, I'm just gonna make a nice little square building, and we'll leave it at that. Hmm. Okay. I can clear up here. Yeah, there we go. That's what I want to do. Make a funky roof there. And we will continue this ad nauseum. To make a horrible, terrible roof. Hmm. But I do want to corner this and do that. Like this. There we go. And we have created a monster roof. Worst roof you've ever seen. will be a nice big building. We'll fill that. Great, look at how awful our building is. That is fantastic. That is exactly what we wanted. This is the worst building I've ever seen, and I love it. But you know what would make it even better? If instead... Didn't mean to do that. If instead... it had a bell. That looks pretty awful. Give it some of these slightly obnoxious looking windows. Hang some lamps over it. There'll be some plants there. Actually, pull up. And have the plants cover the whole thing. Like that. Wonderful. We'll have some little barrels out there. Got some lampposts. We'll extend this out here. These windows up here. Bench out on the side here. Great, this is a terrible building. I love it. Okay, we'll have another door there. Okay. Now, I want a path out here, and that's how we'll start the quest. So for now, let's play this and see how we can walk around here. Yeah. As you can see, this lamppost is half gone. Unfortunate. But it had to be done to get this bell tower in. Okay. So, our map works fairly well. Weird hanging floating lamppost aside. Oops. There we go. So now I want to draw a little path here. Okay. Add a couple more details here. Okay. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay. So, got a lot more space than we needed here. Maybe we can lower this. There we go. That's much better. Okay. Let's add a couple more details. Namely trees. Remember to give them trunks this time. Burp, burp. Burp, 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 burp. Okay. Okay. Find tiles that would work well as a bridge. These. Here we go. Put another 3 rounds here. It's not the best bridge tile, but it'll do. Okay. So we have a very rudimentary map here. Not the best use of the tile set, but that's okay. Most maps, your first time around, won't be good. They'll look a lot like this. As you get used to the tile sets, you'll figure out little tricks with them, how they're supposed to be used, how you can cheat different sorts of appearances. So for now, this is a pretty good starting town setup we have here. So, that out of the way. The next thing we're going to need is some NPCs to interact with. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of these ones that we had. They are no longer of use to us. And I'm going to make a roaming NPC. They will be on the slow side. And let's see if we have a face set. Yeah, this is perfect. So, for the event where you show dialogue text, there are a bunch of text commands you can use. The C command, as you can see here, sets the current color of the text. So we can say, old man, and he will say, that. And when we test the game, you can see that the text is different colors, and we can use that to denote the name of the person speaking or emphasize text in a bunch of different ways. So, we can populate the town with a bunch of the same person, which is what we're going to do. We will have a thriving RPG town full of old men who love the Animaniacs. So as you can see, you can copy paste things to your heart's content. And we will create one more NPC in this town. We will have him be a pirate. Let's see, here we go. And now we have a confounded pirate here. So, as you can see, we have a sort of little town. So, the town of Tuntown. And we have just renamed our map. We can actually create a new map. That is an interior area. And we'll actually use the RTP stuff for this. So I don't think I've explained it yet. The RTP is simply the runtime package. It is the pre-made assets that you have access to when you get RPG Maker. So all of the default stuff, that's all the RTP. All of these entries in the database that were there before you did anything, those are all RTP. So we have a interior here. Do that. Oh, I like that more. Okay. Yeah, that's a bit much. Okay, that's more of a building vibe. So this will just be a very simple square building. This will be the map for the outhouse thing. I think that works better. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Actually, I think I'd rather have that. Yeah, there we go. Hmm. Okay, we got a little wall there. Kind of like, don't like those end pieces. Just gonna get rid of them. We will have a nice rug. This looks ugly as sin. Yeah. That's not super symmetrical, so we'll do that. Open it up one tile. And one of the things we can do, and select our tiles and move them out. We can use the right click to copy what a tile is. And using that, we can fill our map back in. Now, we have the one entrance. And okay. I want to put some stuff against the walls to make it look slightly less bad. Okay. We'll make this rug into a slightly more interesting shape. Okay, let's start adding the details. Definitely want a pentagram in here, like that. We'll have this jutting out from the wall a bit. Make a little bit of symmetry, a little bit of asymmetry. And they got a piano. Around there, maybe. Put this here instead. Give them some windows. It'll be a... Can't do that. Some statues around the pentagram. Two. Okay. Actually, I'm going to make this building shape a little more interesting. Here we go. Get rid of those. Okay. Generally, you do not want your interiors to be total squares. That's not great. I think that looks a little better. Mm -hmm. Mm -hmm. Put that picture there. And this will be filled with bones. There we go. Okay, so when you want to move the player around, you use transfer events, and this option here will create them quickly for you. So I can select a map, choose a position, and decide which direction the player should face when they teleport. Voila! And for the door, I want things to be a little more elaborate. So, what I'm going to do going to have a sound play. Have a very slow horse. That's the sound a door makes, right? And let's see. Right, up, left. Okay. So it is possible to make actors move using event commands. That is what we will do here. That move route, there it is. We'll face, what was it? Right, up, left. About that frequency. That's right. Right, up, left. I believe yeah, there we go. And we transfer. And I don't remember if it will retain this facing. Let's test it out quick and find out together. Remember, it has been 15 years or so since I've used this. Where animation isn't working. Why is that? Hmm. Yeah, delete that. Do that. I think there was a command to wait for movement to complete. Hmm. Here we go. Wait for all movements. So now, set the frequency back down a little. That should work now. Yeah. Okay, but we don't want that to open up to the wall. We want it to open up to a hole. Let's do that quick. There we go. Now we have entered the skull room. Okay. Stretching. Okay. So now I've showed how you transfer maps, how you make a door that can do that. Going to rename this map quick. Okay. So let me think. What do I want to do next? We are going to make a dungeon. So, what I want to do here, I am going to create a switch. Actually, let's do it on the wall here. And create a wall switch. And I can show off something else here. If I say Actually, I should set the face set to none. This is a good habit to get in the practice of making sure your face set is clear when you're not using it. You can do it on top of faceless events. You can do it after you have the NPC talk. Either way, doesn't really matter. It's just important to clear it when you need it cleared. So I ask press the switch, and taking a drink. Something I can do is show choices. For now, we'll have a simple binary yes or no. And as you can see, that creates a sort of branch. So I can say when the player says yes, I will play a sound effect. Use the explosion. This is the same, right? Right up left. Yeah. So we will have this move. Right, up, left. Then we will wait for its movement to complete, and we will set a switch. We will call this switch Dungeon Door. And we will turn that on. We create a new page here. Select our switch. And set this to left. And we can give the player a message like, set the clear face it again. You already pressed this. Okay, and when the player says no, we don't want anything to happen, so we can leave that as it is. So now, create an event here. We can leave this first page blank. On the next page, we will turn it into a little hole, or how about this? Yeah. I'll actually have that down here. And we'll make that on player touch. Transfer the player. But we don't need to do that now. We need to design the dungeon. Now, since I've already showed off making the tile set, I'm just going to use RTP stuff from now on. So we are going to make a new map. Use the dungeon tile set. And this is the Fungeon. We're just gonna have a nice fun time here. And specify a dungeon background. And we need some dungeon music. I have collected a nice selection of stanky midis to use. So what would be good? Hmm. 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 Down tempo that. Hmm. It's a little cheery. No, not yet. I'm saving that for a special occasion. Hmm. Alright, that down tempo makes pretty good dungeon music, so we'll use that. And about something like a 30 by 30 map. There we go. Okay. Now let's start designing this thing. Start with a nice little floor there. Let's get the wall. This is the wall, it's gonna hug us. And what direction do I want the player to move? Okay, let's do a top-down dungeon. The player starts up here, and they make their way down the bottom. There's gonna be all sorts of stuff to stop them. Hmm. These walls. Yeah, that's fine. So which of the... Oh, okay, I remember now. We will need transfer event here. That will take us back up here. And we can give that a graphic of stairs up. Okay. we can start on this. We'll have the player move up into a room that's up here. They'll have to make their way back down out of it. And that will take them to the left here, where there will be a similar room up here. That looks like this. And up here there will be a little alcove. I believe we will put some treasure there. Okay. Wind down here. Alright. Now we need to start putting walls in. Put the walls in. You can start modifying the shape of the dungeon. Do what you want, make it look cool. You want to make sure that you're covered, or it'll look kind of weird. Like that. There we go. Okay, so basically the flow of doing these dungeons is that you want your wall tiles be about 2 tiles high with this sort of tile set. Transplant walls all over the place. Just want to make sure that you have 2 walls over any part of this sort of overhanging wall that has the sort of bottom bit there. You see what I mean? Just a sort of general rule for building these maps. So you usually end up modifying them a little bit like I am now. Decide how wide you want your spaces. Whether you want like these very narrow spaces, something wider, big rooms, small rooms. It's up to you. Remember that these things will look a little different once you're actually in game, because the game uses a very small resolution, and I am on 1080p right now. So there's a big difference between 1080p and free 20 by 240. All right. This will lead to the next floor. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm going to shape a little more interesting, I think. Like that. Yeah. Okay. So, let's fill this in with a couple details. This has a bunch of these too. Statue there. Lines on some of the walls. These ones look pretty good on corners. Do that kinda. Might look worse in the game itself, but that looks fine here. So we'll see what's up. We can put little torches. I like putting them kinda symmetrically. Mapping is always kind of a balance between symmetry and asymmetry. You want some things to be symmetric and other things to be asymmetric. It can give a lot of personality to a map. Let's have a couple of these around. Get this. Or a T-cell torch. Just a little room here. And gonna want a few walkable things. Ooh, we'll have a bookcase there. Interesting little detail. Let's have some of these around. Go into the tile set and make sure that this debris stuff is passable. So we can check that under tile sets. Go into dungeon. The upper layer, we can see that these are not currently passable, but we can make them passable. When we do that, we can walk over the debris. Okay. There are subtle cracks in here somewhere. Guess there's that. Yeah, that's fine. Got a few cracks. Randomly throughout the map. Okay. This is starting to kind of look like a map. I'm gonna check something quick. Okay. So what the square means is just that it's over wall. You can pass under it. Okay. That's it. And this needs a transfer. We're gonna do that. Transfer player into the function. Okay, so let's play our game and test how things are working so far. This shouldn't be like this. Okay, we need to do some bug testing here. Here's the culprit. I did not set this page to use this switch. So it's just saying, okay, I'm going to be the highest numbered page. Now, if we set condition switch is on, this page will only be used if this switch is on. So we can do that. And now they should be working properly. Yeah. Stairs are not visible now, but if I do this... Okay. So I can save there, so that next time we can test from here. And now... I'm going to... Let's shape that a little. Now we're going to make this into an actual dungeon. And the first step is we are going to make a chest. Going to create an event here. Graphic to chest object. For that, we want to play a sound effect. And this is what a chest opening sounds like, right? Yeah, normal chest opening sound. Now we have it move. And wait for the movement. Set a clear face set and set a switch. We label it to make sure we know it's being used. This page is used when the chest is on, which we switch here. So, that's great that that works, but that's slightly unfair. So, we will have this chest actually give the player something. So, we can have it change items. We'll have it give one potion to the player character. And let's make sure we have a message that it has happened. Now let's try that again. And if we go into our items here, you'll see we have a potion now. Okay, so we have the item, and we'll have a transfer event here. Just set it to there for now, but I'm going to be wanting it to be different later. Here we go. So, we've got our little dungeon. We've got a chest in it. But in order for it to be a proper dungeon, we need encounters. Now, there are two tabs that deal with that here. We have enemies and we have troops. Troops are just groups of enemies. You saw this troop earlier. This is the role-playing advocate. Enemies are here. There are a bunch of ones provided as part of the RTP. And that will help get you started. So we already have a bunch of slimes here, so why not use them? We'll also make our own enemies, but for now, we will simply add a couple of slimes. And this will be a simple fight, straightforward, so we don't need this battle to have any events. We will be using battle events later though. You can see what we can do with that. So now we've added our troop, we can go into the map properties, and this is where they can be set. So you can add a troop, and that will cause that group to show up. And we will test that now. As you can see, we get into combat. So now we have a working dungeon, we have a chest, we have an encounter. So how can we expand on this? Well, we can create our own enemies, and that's what we will do right now. So this is the enemies tab where you can do that. I'm using that later, but you have seen it now. So we're going to make a chili bat, a chill bat, we are going to give it 30 HP, 30 attack, 8 mind, 8 MP, 8 defense, and 18 agility. And if we use this as a reference point, we'll want the chill bat to give, we'll say 30 experience for now. And they can drop a potion at a 10% rate. They will give 1 monies. And this enemy can critical hit, but it's only 1 in 60 chance. This will have normal state rates, which means it will be affected by all these conditions normally, and it will have no strengths or weaknesses as far as elements go. So we have a normal attack, but we want to add just a little bit more complexity. So we will say it will always potentially use an ice breath. And I believe it will have enough MP to do that, but we can check quick. So the bat has 8 MP, And Ice Breath takes none, it's innate. Okay. So we have our Chill Bat. And we can make a new group. Oops. And let's add a slime and 2 Chill Bats. We can move these around as we want. Okay. So now we have our own enemy and our own troop. And we can add that to the map as well. Okay. So now let's test out this floor of our dungeon and see how it works. We might need to adjust some things. The bets might be a little too easy, they might be a little too hard, we'll have to see. We grab the potion out there after this battle. And now we make our way to the status here. And here we are. That takes us right back there because we haven't implemented it yet. But we've made it through this floor of our dungeon. And now we need to make a floor 2. So we can go into properties and give this an F1 name. So we know that this is the first floor. And we'll create a slightly smaller map here. We will specify a dungeon background. And want that to be a child of this. And we have our dungeon. This isn't the right tile set. Hold on. We want dungeon, not interior. There we go. Okay, this one will have slightly different walls. Will be a slightly different environment altogether. We'll use that as the floor. And this time we'll be going the opposite way. And I think this floor of the dungeon will be based more on larger rooms. Oh, actually, I want to show off something quick. So if you're short on ideas for your dungeons, you can generate them, like here. So I'm going to create a room-based dungeon here. I can set the ceiling, be what I have there. The low wall looks like this. A high wall looks like this. Floor A will look like this. And we'll use a floor B that has that little bit of growth there. And we can say okay. And we get a little dungeon room. Generates it for us. Yeah, we want to turn this off after we're done because otherwise we won't be able to do transfer events properly because it will continually generate new ones. But now we have a generated dungeon. And we can modify it a little bit to suit our needs. Like, I want to create one more room up here. Nice big one. Goes like this. There we go. I want this to be like this. There, that's more like it. Okay. Now I want to fill this in with some details. I can add some of these. I haven't done mapping with these tile sets for 15 years, so bear with me here. Okay. Alright, place some of these. And this will be bedroom. A very messy bedroom. Place some of these too. Okay. Now I want some wall details. These cracks look kind of cool on this wall. Kind of contrasts. Okay. Don't remember what that is. What's that? Okay. Give them a bookcase too. In this floor, we'll have some pillars. And of course, we will have skeletons all over the place. Including one in this guy's room. Alright. I think that's good for now. We will place our transfer here. That will take us back up. And change the graphic to that. And then we can go up here and edit this. So that takes us down the function F2. Say we want to come out on the right there. And if we test the game, we should be able to move down into our next floor. Okay, so what I want to do is I want this floor to have a lot of encounters. It's going to be a short floor, but one with a bunch of encounters, and there will be a boss up here that we will create. So first, I'm going to make another chest here. And this will have a weapon for the player. So let's see. There we go. That will do. And we will have this move. And we'll wait for that to complete. And then we will provide a long sword. Make sure that the face set is clear and show a message. No, we don't need that. And with that, we're going to want to set a switch. And we use that switch here to keep that chest open. So let's test out our chest. So we've got a long sword, but our character can't use it. See, we've got it in our inventory, but we can't use it. So, we can do a couple of things. We can modify the longsword so it can be used by our character, or I could go into actors and classes. Okay, so this is the actors tab. We visited it briefly before, but this is where the character data is. So you can set different options here, how the character grows in different stats, what their class is. Their class will modify a bunch of these things. So, to begin with, let's create a simple class. We are going to call it Classy. So we can set different experience curves here, set a base and an extra, which basically modifies how exponential the experience requirement growth is, along with acceleration, which modifies it more slightly. So we're just going to have a curve like that. Close to the default. So these this gives you a sort of outline of how much experience will be required for each level. So our level 1 character would need 752 experience. And we can make a curve here. So let's say HP should be standard. We can generate a curve like that. We can generate one for MP, attack, defense, mind, and agility. So our character will be very good at attack. Kinda lousy at defense. very good at mind, and not so good at agility. And here we set the battle commands. This is what your character has access to. So for now, we'll say we have access to attacking, defending, using items, and escaping. But we'll add more later. As you can see, you can set commands here. We'll deal with that in a bit. For now, we want all these states and elements to be neutral. Okay, we save all that. And if we give our character here the class we just made, it will apply all the statistics to the character's parameter curves. And now our character is that class. So, next big thing here is we need to give our class some skills. And we will start doing that over in the skills tab. We won't deal with animations quite yet, but we will in a bit. So, have a divider there, and we'll make a skill for our class. We will call it Burst. It will cost 4 MP. We'll give it a description. Will be an attack that affects all enemies. At a base value of 4, it will decrease HP. With a sword-based attack enemy, it will affect all enemies. And give it a sword animation. That'll do for now. So here we can set what animation it uses. So we do that. And here at the bottom, we can set how much our stats affect it. So this is not a magic attack, so we don't want it to have a magical rate. We want it to have a physical rate. Let's give it, say, 7. An amount of 10 is basically the same scaling as a basic attack, if I remember correctly. So we could have it inflict a state, but we will not do that for now. Okay, and now we have a simple skill that our class can learn. It will learn that at level 1. Actually, let me see. Here we go. So we will be using this, but first we need to actually create it. So under set, we need to make a new command. We will call it class act. And it will be for specific skills. Now, if you use just skills, what that will do is it will, every single skill your character learns will be under this command. But if you say skill specific, only skills that are under this attribute will be under that command. So if we go back to our skill here and say this is a class act skill, then we can add the command here, move everything down, and our character should have access to the skill now. So let's test it out in game. We'll try to get into an encounter in this floor. This is a problem. Yeah, I don't think it... I forgot. I don't think it applies it retroactively to an existing save game. So... Wait. Hold up. I think I might just have needed to apply. Let's see if that fixed it. Yeah, here we go. Unfortunately, though, we don't have the skill. I'm going to need to figure this out. Yeah, we don't have it. So I believe we will need to restart, which shouldn't be a problem. If we do that, then we have burst. And we should be able to use it down here. But since we don't have a sword, we can't use it. Because it was set to be a sword skill. Going to grab this. We're gonna go through this floor again. And we're gonna be here. Grab this. But we can't use it still. So I'm going to see if we can fix that by going to the item itself and saying that our classy class can use it. So here you can set the weapons animation. So I'm gonna say move to enemy with an after image. And I'm gonna double dip there, make sure that the character can use it. And I think even for a load this should work. Yeah, here we go. So now we have a longsword. And now we can try to see how our burst works. As you can see, we can use it now. And now we also move to the enemy because we have the longsword and it has that animation set. So, now we will populate our second floor with enemies. We'll use both of the ones that we already have. And I will create a slightly more complicated enemy as well. We'll set a nice graphic for it. Going to be an elf. But it's not like other elves, it's an elf. This is going to have 52 HP, decent attack score, and mind score. We'll give decent XP and some nice money. And what I can do, I can set a special condition that if its health is 50% or below, it can use a blinding attack. So you can set a bunch of different conditions like this. So I can say on the third turn, with a rating of 100, escape. Okay. So we can get a troop. We'll get 2 troops that have an elf in them. We'll have one with 2 elves. And one with our chill bets and an elf. And this fight could potentially be overwhelming. We'll see. Okay. So we've got our special encounters. Let's add them. And we want to have this war have an annoying encounter rate. So we'll set that lower. Okay. So now, that's all well and good. But let's give this room here a special event. See if we have a good sprite for this. Not really. It's close-ish. That might work. I could have gotten something together. Looked online for something. But this is fine. So I don't think I'll have a base for it. I'll just use the monster graphic for it. We will have some text here. And I bet you can see what I'm doing. Okay, now we need to make a boss encounter. So first, we need to create a boss. And our boss will be none other than Shek. We'll give him some hefty HP. Nice big attack stat. He's not going to be the smartest guy, but he's going to be okay. Gonna need a lot of MP for spell casting. Solid defense. And an okay agility. He will give 1 experience and 1 money. And I'm going to need to have a look at those. So I can show this. Elements. You can set elements here, give them physical or magical attributes. And over here you can change the multipliers that they have. So if somebody has an A resistance, that means wind will do 200% damage to them. If they have E resistance, it will do nothing to them. So we will make our Shek resistant to sword. We'll give him a little more defense. About that much. Okay. So he can do a normal attack. That's good. And let's give him something else he can do randomly. He will cast a basic fire spell. And if his HP is low and you don't kill him fast enough, where is it? Here we go. Might cast a cure on himself. So you need to kill him quickly, or he'll regenerate like a troll does. Because this is of course, a troll. Check the troll. And if an actor's health is at 20%, you'll try to paralyze them at a pretty decent priority rating. Okay. So that's a decent basic moveset, I think. So we'll set up its group. We'll have Shek here. Right, and over here on the right hand side here, you'll see this battle events panel. These are very similar to typical game events, like there are on the map. So you can have a page that is based on different conditions. So if it's turn count 0, change the face set to Shek's and have him say something. I want to put his name there. And that should show up on the first turn. Now we can test this right here. So we can give this a nice test. And as you can see, the event worked the way that we wanted it to. So we can create other events that trigger under different conditions. So I'm going to say I don't think these should still both say is on. I think one of them's supposed to be is off. So, gonna try this. And if this keeps repeating when his HP is low, we'll know something's off here. Till we have him say a message. And then if we set the switch on, then this page shouldn't be run again. So let's test the fight. Okay, I did not want Shrek to be permanently trying to paralyze. Why is that doing that? So let's make sure that's low. Why is the condition showing up there as average actor level? It should not be that. Okay. I'm just gonna get rid of that. I don't know if it's bugged or what. Okay. So we'll test this now. On second thoughts, that's a lot of health to burn through. So I'm going to pump my character up a lot. Oh, that should be good. Okay. Are you gonna heal before I kill you? Nope. Okay. So that works fine. I might edit this to be a little higher. 15 should be good. And I'm going to lower his HP. There we go. Okay. So, our character will have a difficult time beating this guy. He's got to resist to their weapon. Not gonna go super well. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new skill for our character. And I will create an animation to go with it. And in doing so, I will show off animations briefly. Okay, so we're going to create a new animation on the bottom here. We're going to call it Deep Fry. And it's going to be a fire skill. So we're going to want to find a fire animation. Oh, this is new. 640 by 40 graphics. Okay. You can give it bigger animations. I think that's new. Okay, we got some fire here. Got 2000 free fire, which is a little nicer looking. We'll use that. Okay, so animation can be pretty involved, but the basics of it is you've got a couple frames in the bottom here from the animation graphic that you load, and you can set them around anywhere you want relative to the enemy. And if you right click them, you can set the properties. So for this, I want it to start at 20% zoom and 80% transparency. And I want this to be a very red colored fire. So I want red to be very pronounced, the other colors to be a little subdued. Take this red and put it in the bottom there. Then, if I select another cell, say 8, I can do a tweening, tween frames 1 and 8. I can set cells 1 to 4. Oh wait, I need to set a animation here. So I make that even redder. And that will have 0 transparency and be 120 zoom. And then I can tween between frames 1 and 8. And when I do that, creates a little animation there, as you can see. once it reaches frame 8, I'm going to have it flash, but first I'm going to start a sound effect. So a sound effect will start at frame 1, and on frame 8, going to have a bell sound effect, which is very appropriate for fire. I'm going to have the target flash red. And I'm going to start a tween that will be at 20. Have that at 300 zoom and 100 transparency. And I will have it desaturated. So I can tween between frames 8 and 20. Have it tween from cells 4 to 1. So here's what our animation looks like so far. I'll give it a couple more frames. Because at 20, I want the screen to shake and flash white. Okay, that's going to be our skill animation. Very simple one. But I think it suits the sort of brief nature of this stream I'm doing. So now we need to create a skill that incorporates the animation. We will give it the same name because we can do that. It is a class act type skill. So we will fry an enemy with sacred chicken power. And this will cost, we'll say 8 MP maybe. Let's see, how much do we have at level 1? 33. So we'll just give ourselves more MP quick. And this will have a base 20 decrease of HP. We'll use the skill animation. Has a high magical rate, so it will scale with our magic power. And it will have somewhat high variance, which means how much the damage value will vary. Very simple. That scope will be single enemy. And it will attack with the fire element and reduce resistance for it. So we're giving ourselves an overpowered skill, but it's for the purposes of demonstration. Okay, so we need to have our class learn it. So at level 1 we will have access to Burst and Deep Fry. And we apply our class there. Okay. So we will learn the Deep Fry skill. And now we can actually implement the boss itself. So one of the things we can do is we can change the battle music to something more boss appropriate. It's been 15 years. Where is this thing? Down. Here we go. System BGN for battle. We're going to play this very special piece of music. And we will get in the battle with our Shek in the map setting. We can't escape. If we're defeated, it's a game over. And if we do beat him, we continue processing events. So, let's show some text. And we can play an animation over him. And then we set another switch. So when our switch is on, we set this to an empty graphic. And now we've got our boss encounter. But let's make sure we remember to set the system BG back to the default. That is a common thing that people end up forgetting. Oh, hey Jackson Stream Stuff. Yeah, I haven't used this program in must be 15 years now. So yeah, we've got a boss set up. But now for our last thing we're going to do for the stream today, I want this pirate to acknowledge that we defeated Shek. So I'm going to make a new page. Wait a minute. Ooh, Shrek. This is Shek we're dealing with. Okay. So I can copy these things. It's very good to copy stuff to save time. And let's have him say, okay, so right now we've got a very basic scenario set up. You've got a town with a bunch of old guys who like Animaniacs walking around. You got a pirate who doesn't like Animaniacs that much and is wondering what's going on. You can go into this little house here. You can press that switch, go into the dungeon. First floor of the dungeon. You can go get this chest. It has a potion. Then you can go down to the second floor. And on the second floor, you have another chest that contains an item, a weapon you can use, and you have a boss encounter up here. And when you leave the dungeon and return to the town, this pirate will acknowledge what you've done. So, let's do it. Let's do one big test run to cover everything we've done tonight. I'm going to hover over myself so I turn transparent. So now we fight through the dungeon. Okay. So now we fight Shek. So now let's deep fry a Shek. Let's use our potion. But didn't our potion work? That's funny. Okay, we're either gonna kill or be killed by this Shek. Down the wire now. We couldn't make it. We've been murdered by Shek. Okay, well, we didn't quite beat Shek, so I'm going to take a look at potions quick. Okay. I'm going to give it percentile healing as well. And let's see if we can load. Nope. This is an old save. Okay. So we're going to start over again. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, and we got another potion out of that. So let's make our way up to check. Okay, Shek. I'm ready for you. Okay, we've exhausted our MP. Now it's down the wire. It's all attrition from here. Yeah, we got him. Got 1 XP and 1 money for that. So now let's make our way back. So now we're blinded. So we don't have any way to deal with that, so we're running. If we die here, so be it. We've defeated the monster already. Keep on running. Keep on running. Now what do you have to say? That's right. Okay. So that's all we have so far. So that was making a game in 3.5 hours in RPG Maker 2000 free. You could make this in much less time than that if you don't have to explain it like I was doing. But anyways, that's the basics of the software. There's a lot more to learn, but it really doesn't get that much more complex than that until you are trying to create custom systems. That's where it can get a little complicated. And you have to have a little imagination for some of that, because this is a very, very limited program. It can only do a few things. It does those things pretty well, I think. And it's got like one of the friendliest user interfaces of any game engine I've ever used. I will say that. Like, just going back to this today, it feels warm and comforting. Like, all these tabs, all this really simple UI. Everything is pretty straightforward. It does what you expect it to do, aside from a couple of things. When you get like deep into the weeds on stuff like battle events. But yeah, it's a very simple program. Pretty good at what it does. It can have a hard time when you're stretching it, when you're trying to do things it wasn't really designed for. But it's very fun to use. Should you use it in the year 2020? Well, there are definitely better RPG makers out there now. Like, ever since, what was it? XP, RPG Maker XP, there's been scripting in these, so you can make them a lot more extensible. So, I'd say if you want something more customizable, start with at least XP, if not later. VX-Ace is a good starting point, as is the newer MV. I think there's a new one, MZ, out. I haven't tried that. I think it's supposed to be very similar to MV, but like a couple of fairly significant changes and updates. 2000 free though, you can get it for really cheap if I remember correctly. And it's a fun hobbyist RPG maker. Like, you can do some fun things in this. And some of the later RPG makers lose a little bit of the simplicity in favor of scripting, and there's a little pressure to use scripts in order to make your games a little more unique. That doesn't really exist in the older RPG makers. But yeah, these are good programs. I had a lot of fun getting back into this really old one that I messed around with a lot as a teenager. And yeah, I think that's about it for today. Thank you for watching. I will have this all uploaded to YouTube. If you're from YouTube, hi, have a great day. Check me out on twitch.tv/nbnoemi. The link should be in my about page. If you're on Twitch or YouTube, I have a Twitter account where I post updates. You can find me at nbnoemistream. And yeah, that'll be it for today. I had a lot of fun. Going to tab over to my OBS. You can see my chat, my settings here. And for today, I'm going to end the stream. Have a great rest of the night, or whatever time it is where you are. It's been gay.